All right. Good morning. Steve and Alex are with us. I've got Cameron in there somewhere, but he's got his feed muted for a second. He'll be with us in a minute. It is WTF CCPNN Wednesday, and we are going to be talking about, well, I think it was yesterday was the 1 year anniversary of 15 days to slow the spread, and we're still stuck in a flagging America where people still believe Democrats when they say they're interested in compromise. And we never should have put the masks on. Never should have done it. It has become clear. Steve. Yes, Steve. that is fair. Steve, you do work here. Yes. Speaking of work here, Steve, give me a call after the show. I want to know what you're doing Saturday night, because I might have something for you. Or shit, we're going to a wrestling match. You should come with us. Anyway, when we put the masks on, we surrendered to an incessant enemy that never, ever, ever wants you to be happy. We've talked about this on the show many, many times. The Democrat will never accept a win. They will never be happy to get a thing that they say they want if it doesn't include causing harm to someone else.
Yes. And I'm with you, by the way. And yeah, that's a point we've hammered a lot. The left, and maybe it's always been this way, maybe it's just the current iteration, but I think it's fair to say that they feel morally compelled to cause harm. It's not enough to win. They also have to hurt, because guys like Chris and I are villains. We deserve to get kicked in the teeth. We need to get kicked in the teeth. It writes the cosmic scales of justice for us to get kicked in the teeth.
Yeah, they could not even discuss vaccine distribution policy without a bunch of them suggesting that, well, we need to make sure that we give it to minorities first, that we pick non-white men to give it to, because that'll help to improve equity.
Yeah, and going back to what you said about compromise, I can't tell you how many times I've heard some politicians say something to the effect of, oh, well, this is a great compromise because everybody's kind of unhappy. And it's like, no, that is a shit metric for compromise. Everybody's unhappy. How about a compromise where everybody can live with the results? Hell, what if there's a compromise where everybody's relatively happy with the results? But no. In the rare event that the Democrat is willing to compromise, it's going to be the type of compromise where everybody gets kicked in the teeth.
Yeah,
so
and
willing
I
is the Democrat
I challenge you to give me an example of a legitimate compromise. Of a legitimate compromise with the Democrats. Because there are none. And on that too, you're not safe from my criticism out there, Republicans. Because let me say this about the Republican Party. While the Democrats have stayed absolute true North Star on the systematic destruction of the United States and the obliteration of our way of life, to include planned white genocide, which is absolutely a thing now. That a year ago I might have said, no, you're crazy. Yes, there's an actual white genocide going on in South Africa, but the idea that American politicians and celebrities are actually interested in exterminating white people, that's just ludicrous. That's absurd. But now, no, that's a metaphysical certainty. And
Yeah, now we need to learn how to be less white.
I can bring receipts on that another time. We go into more detail on it some other time, but you're right. The Coca-Cola thing with the whole be less white movement, all that's very much a part of our pop culture now, and very much a part of our government system now. And if you look at the things that Biden is doing with some of his executive orders and getting rid of certain Trump executive orders, the Democrat Party is actively moving to implement explicit segregation, right? They've been bitter about it ever since they got their asses whooped by Republicans in the 60s and had to capitulate on civil rights litigation. And now the Democrats, they've never stopped wanting to return to Jim Crow segregation. And
now, do you mean the 1960s or the 1860s?
Yes.
Fair enough.
Yes. But the Democrats, the only way that they have changed in that regard is since the 60s the Democrats have learned or maybe more assimilated the belief that white men are more difficult to subjugate than any other race. And there's historic precedent to argue that position.
Yeah, I was about to say, I think France and Britain would agree with that. Ooh.
Yeah, you want to go colonize Africa. You go down there with some troops and plant a flag and hey, we're here to do stuff. But if you send your Vatican mercenaries into the Celtic lands, then you're going to have to go back for reinforcements because, well, everybody there is a giant with fire for hair, painted blue and naked, and they'll eat your fucking horses. I've seen me do it.
Speaking of that, happy St. Patty's Day. I intend in having a rare indulgence of Guinness. I've basically wanted a Guinness ever since Alex popped one open on the Rush Limbaugh stream. And, well, you can't drink Guinness on St. Patty's Day. When can you drink Guinness?
Exactly. And so, yeah, actually, that night, as you all may recall, I got pretty well into the bottle and pretty well into my feels a little bit that night too. And after we were off the air, I ran out of cigarettes and I went upstairs to get dressed. You know, it's like midnight and I'm out of smokes. I'm like, I could go to bed or I could go get more smokes. And I go up and I'm putting clothes on so I can go out and get smokes. And of course I woke the wife up. Babe, what are you doing? I said, nothing, babe. Just go back to sleep. I'm just gonna run out and get cigarettes. Are you drunk? Yeah. I'm obliterated. Why? You don't need to drive. I'm like, okay, I'm drunk. I'm not stupid, babe. I'm gonna take an Uber to get smokes. No, I'll go get them. It's like, no, babe, go back to bed. No, you just hang out with the baby, and I'll go get you cigarettes. I'm like, okay. Hey, get me some Guinness while you're at the store too. And she brought me back a six pack. She brought me back 6 of the big Guinness extra stouts, and I drank 2 of them that night. There's still 1 in the fridge. Last night for dinner we had a corned beef brisket in the crock pot with a cup of Guinness. yeah. It's a good St. Patty's Day meal last night.
You know, if you need, just to kind of start to tie it all together, if you need proof that white people are the only people it's okay to make fun of, when was the last time you heard somebody get offended by the Fighting Irish? I mean, that is a cruel stereotype. And yet, you don't see a bunch of gingers running around going, oh my God, that's so offensive. I don't get drunk and fight. Wah.
In fact, the gingers aren't even complaining about the rapid extermination of gingers from pop culture. Take a look at all the comic book TV shows and all that, and all the sexy little redheads are being blacked. It's like modern comic book writers. The only The only thing they have in their toolkit is a paintbrush and a black spray can. That got a little off topic.
Got a little dark.
Yes, comic books, especially DC, are getting extra. Deadpool made that. Wow, that's super dark. You sure you're not from the DC universe? I hadn't intended to talk about Black Superman this morning, and guess what? We're not gonna. But I mentioned him because DC is getting dark.
Yeah. So, anyhow.
And to be just real quick, I'm not going to go down this rabbit hole, but I do want to be clear on this. I abhor the tokenization of classic comic book characters. That's not a criticism from my racism. That's a criticism of your laziness, of the racism that makes you lazy shit writers. Ta-Nehisi Coates. You fucking cannibal leftist shitburger. Did I just break your train of thought, Cameron? I'm sorry, did I break your concentration? Oh, apparently I broke his signal. We were gonna look at CNN a little bit this morning. Here's the CNN main page, and as I've said in the past, I usually use Archive for leftist propaganda rags, but CNN they need the clicks. I'll give them one. I'll give them one a week because they need it so desperately. And as much as I would love to have a world without CNN in it, I don't want to lose CNN because they're a wonderful resource for, parody. So, okay, we've got this. Actually, Cameron, it's updated a little bit. We've got this story: 8 people were killed at 3 Atlanta area spas, and 1 person is in custody. So, that's interesting.
3 Atlanta area spas?
Yeah.
I don't even need to open that article. What happened is somebody murdered a bunch of prostitutes is what it sounds like. Because let me tell you what, I'm not going to go into this, but I assure you, if it says spa on the outside, it's not what they do on the inside.
Oh, yeah, 3 Metro Atlanta massage parlors. 6 of the 8 were Asian women. Wow, yeah, so apparently we've got a vigilante out there killing hookers.
See, I told you I didn't need to read the article.
Wow.
Anyhow, well, when we set up the concept for this show, of course, the big headline was why you still need to wear a mask even after you get the vaccine. And let me just say, fuck you. Really? 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 I'm going to let you stick me with Operation Warp Speed, which you said couldn't be done, which you said you wouldn't trust because Orange Man bad. But now that Orange Man is no longer in the White House, it's the safest, most awesome vaccine ever, except...
Wow, your connection is cutting in and out real bad, Cameron.
You still have to wear a mask to get the vaccine. I'm gonna get fucked. Oh, it's up in my back. I apologize. Point out that get fucked. I might just stop wearing the mask anyway without the vaccine.
Oh yeah, I'm done with the mask. Okay, and I told y'all the story. Maybe I don't know if everybody heard it, but I told y'all the story about a week or 2 ago. I stumbled across this watch, this Tissot watch, and Steve Rodemeyer. Steve, you probably remember when we were in Savannah, I had a mild passing obsession with this watch when it was still like a $2,700 watch. It's titanium. The thing is bulletproof, sapphire glass, touch screen. It's got a compass. I've literally called in frickin' artillery strikes off of the compass and altimeter on this watch in Afghanistan. I did not.
Yeah.
And I, right before I deployed, I just happened to get a great deal on the watch. It was still, retail somewhere above $2,000, and the Naval Exchange on in Oahu had it for $600, and of course it's the Navy Exchange. It's like a PX or a BX. You don't pay sales tax. And I was just about to go to Afghanistan. I was like, hell yeah, I need a watch with a bulletproof, waterproof, everything proof watch with a compass and an altimeter. So I came across it the other day. I hadn't worn it in a couple of years. Battery's dead. I took it to get a battery replaced at the Batteries Plus in Conyers. And I go to walk in the building, and as I walk in, the guy says, "Hey, do you have a mask?" And I just said, "No, I don't. I just need to get a battery replaced in my watch." He says, "Well, I can't help you unless you have a mask." Well, here's the thing. As I pulled into the parking lot before I walked into the store, I could see both employees standing at the counter inside the store before I got out of my truck to approach. And neither of them was wearing a mask. They waited until I opened the door and walked into the store to put masks on, and then insisted I wear a mask while there to do service.
This is my experience frequently as I go around and I do pest control. Like, the thing that just cracked me up the absolute hardest is, I'm not going to say which restaurants, but I'm going to say multiple chain restaurants that you would see if you happen to drive up and down the main strip in 138 in Conyers. Before they open, none of them are wearing masks. And then, like, as soon as they flip the open sign on, they put their masks on. So as they're setting up the warming tables, they're heating up the corn and the green beans and pulling out the slices of cheese and all. Yeah, they're not wearing a mask for any of that.
Yeah, so real quick, Anarchy Television just joined us. I think this is the first time, maybe the second time I've seen you in the live chat. But Anarchy, I've noticed you commenting on several of our videos recently. You've become one of our more ardent viewers, and I appreciate that. It's great to see you there. Thanks for joining us this morning. And I've actually checked out a few of your shows lately. We need to link up and chit chat sometime soon. Maybe do a little collab like Alex Bleeping Jones and I have already done. Which since I took this little hiatus to address the chat, Alex, I want to hear about what's going on sometime soon. I want to hear about what's going on with the drama from the other night when I popped on your live stream just impromptu at Dark 30 because there was some just goofy shit going on with the prepper community, guys. I'd like to hear more about that. I'll have to come see if you've done a show about it, or maybe we do another collab sometime. And likewise, Alex, since you are so often still up, I know this is after bedtime for you, but since you are so often still up to pop on, brother, anytime, let me know and you can come on with us in the morning too. So, what else you got this morning, Cameron? I feel like we kind of had a broken topic thread this morning, so I'm not sure where I want to go from here.
Well, I mean, bring it back to the beginning. We didn't know it. Okay, it's obvious now, but we didn't know it. But when we put on the mask, we surrendered. When we said, okay, 15 days to slow the spread, we surrendered. And this is the thing that you've really got to pay attention to the left with. Very rarely do they have the balls to outright lie. They will, and they even will frequently when it suits their cause. But what they much prefer to do is engage in some good old Saul Alinsky tactics and use the truth as a weapon. Carefully edit it to present it in a certain way. So, okay, just going back to the 15 days to slow the spread. And obviously, all of us were dubious of this. But at the time, we had almost no hard data on COVID. And we had conflicting data on COVID. And, there's the funny things like what happened with the WHO in Taiwan and the reporter asking the question. you've literally got so-called experts contradicting one another, making a suggestion like, okay, look, let's just slow everything down for 2 weeks, just so that we don't have this massive spike and fill up all of our ICUs. Okay, that seemed reasonable enough at the time.
That seemed to make a lot of sense at the time. But go ahead, and then I've got something.
But it wasn't universal. Walmart was allowed to stay open, but your mom and pop grocery stores were not. So what happened? Everybody went to damn Walmart. So it utterly defeated the purpose of the lockdown. And as somebody pointed out on Crowder's stream yesterday, some extremely smart person wrote a book in the early 1900s about the Spanish flu. And the thing that this person observed 100 years ago was that if the military could not maintain a solid quarantine, there's no way a civilian population ever will.
Correct.
So, and it's not you're evil and you're selfish if you won't wear your mask. No. I'm just a free thinker, and I happen to understand that this mask has an extremely limited use. Frankly, if you are not wearing multiple masks a day and throwing them away or washing them all at the end of the day, your mask is useless. In fact, it's a petri dish, because you're gonna touch it, you're gonna bump into things, you can't help it. And as soon as you touch the mask, it's now compromised.
Yeah, and the masks. Okay, so every package that if you buy a package of masks, it will say on it, this mask does not protect against the COVID virus, right? So there's that. The cloth masks, like I have a few of them. There are a few places that I need to go from time to time where, you know what, I just don't have time to argue with people about this. So here's my little piece of costume jewelry to shut you up, you nattering psychopaths. But if you're wearing the same mask more than once, and you're not washing it in it's like 200-degree water with a certain detergent, then your mask is a petri dish. Your mask is counterproductive. Your mask is increasing your chances, right? And go ahead, YouTube. Go ahead and flag this for medical misinformation, and I will refer you to the CDC findings that say the exact same thing. The CDC has said in no uncertain terms now that the masks are not effective. They've also said that the lockdowns are not effective. And Steve says, Chris and I also have intimate knowledge of why masks are incompatible with facial hair. Yeah, Steve and I used to work at a facility where we had to wear emergency escape masks because there was a constant risk of titanium tetrachloride leak. And when the titanium tetrachloride tanks leak, the titanium tetrachloride, once it encounters atmosphere, subliminates into gaseous hydrochloric acid, which is basically this big cloud of kind of grayish green and purple you could see the lightning bolts streaking through it as the matter continues to sublimate into gaseous hydrochloric acid. And then, well, it just melts your lungs out. It's a
eyeballs.
It's a highly potent hydrochloric acid gas that, you will vomit out your lungs before the gas has consumed your eyes.
Which sounds awful.
But you will have empty eye sockets before you hit the ground. And so we had to stay clean shaven while we were at that facility so that we could pull on the emergency respirator masks and survive if the leak happened to happen. And we did see the tickle leak, the titanium tetrachloride tickle. We did see the tickle tank leak a couple times, and I tell you what, even without knowing what the cloud is, even without knowing that it's the gaseous hydrochloric acid and that it will make you vomit your lungs out before it finishes eating your eyeballs, even without having that knowledge, the thing is a terrifying visual spectacle.
It's like a poison dart frog. For some reason, I feel like I should not touch that brightly colored thing.
Yeah. I mean, it's a cloud with lightning bolts in it that will eat you. And yes, Steve, you're correct. Tickle molecules are larger than COVID viruses. That's correct. And besides all that, you look at Democrat policy generally, and it's all aimed toward the slow destruction of the United States of America. It's the Democrat platform is essentially death to America by Chinese water torture, and I'll give them credit. They have their North Star and they stick to it. And that North Star is death to America, and they seek to achieve it by destroying the economy, stripping away your freedoms, eliminating the Constitution and the economy that is supported by the principles of liberty granted and guaranteed and espoused by that Constitution. The Republican Party, I have long voted Republican for the sole reason that Republicans fuck everything else up just a little bit slower. But here's what I want to start seeing from my Republicans if they want me to keep voting for them. I need to see Republicans at the federal level make moves to repeal all gun laws. I need to see Republicans at the federal level make moves to prosecute specific crimes. And I'm not going to go into those. I'm not going to go into which crimes because stuff. Hey, Scrimshaw Rose is with us. Good morning, Scrimshaw. Thanks for joining us. So I need to see Republicans actually start pressing for Republican values. How many times through the appointments, through the confirmation hearings for President Trump's SCOTUS appointees did we hear the question about, well, how are you going to rule on Roe v. Wade? Or are you going to come in and try to strip away women's rights? You know what? The answer is yes. Yes, I am, as a conservative, as a person who values life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, going to push legislation to eliminate abortions. I am going to push for legislation to eliminate gun control. I am going to push for legislation to restore liberty to the people and strip power from the government. If I were to suddenly throw my hat in the ring, my platform would essentially be, I will vote no on everything. Because that government governs best, which governs least. Yeah.
And everything about the coronavirus was tailor-made. Just enough panic, just enough misinformation, just enough confusion. I mean, I won't say who or why, but I have family members that even now are like, oh no, I have to wear my mask because I'm of a certain age.
Who was driving those
like,
tanks in China? Or should I say, was who driving those tanks in China?
But this is a situation that's absolutely tailor-made. It reminds me of that Ben Franklin quote about those who would trade liberty for security deserve neither.
And I 100% agree with that.
And that's exactly what has happened here, is that, I mean, this is just proof, like, don't give the government temporary power because they'll keep it forever. I mean, we can go all the way back to Caesar to make that point. But a lot of these powers are supposed to be temporary, and now we're finding out that the really onerous ones like Cuomo and Governor Whitmer. Not only do they not want to give the power up, but we're finding out that they terribly abused the power. Oh, we're going to take sick people and shove them into nursing homes. I am no microbiologist, but nobody needed to tell me that was a high-risk move. Well, wait a minute. We're going to take sick people and we're going to force them into close contact with folks who are already immunocompromised. I feel like that's a good way to make people sick and die. No, you don't know what you're talking about, peasant. You just have some YouTube channel out there. You need to shut up and quit being selfish and wear your mask. And no, were it not a requirement for my job, I would have already thrown my mask away. Gee, you can't come in this store if you're not wearing a mask. Oh, okay, well, I'll go shop somewhere else. Bye.
Yeah,
Way.
too easy. All right. Brother, I think that's about all I've got this morning. So thanks for joining us this morning. Thanks for watching. I will be doing, for the rest of the day, in fact, I'm going to be getting started on setup in just a minute here. I'll be doing some tech support stuff. I'm going to be setting up and experimenting with the BFM remote live stream kit, because I have built this monster that I don't even know what it can do. So today I'm going to find out, which means I'll be up and down on live streaming off and on throughout the day. If you happen to see me pop up, feel free to join, but I'm not going to be actively trying to produce something interesting. At most I'll probably just chit chat. If I get enough people in there watching and commenting, I'll just chit chat with you a little bit about what kind of equipment and what kind of capabilities we have based on that equipment and what we're planning to do with it going forward. So I will hopefully see a few of you throughout the day. Thanks for watching this morning. Y'all be safe out there, and we'll see you tomorrow.